Are you ready to end the lives of more strawberry plants? Join me on my next experiment, where I take these neglected strawberries and I plant them in a custom strawberry soil mix. Let's get started. These are Quinault strawberries. They've been in their container here a little too long. And we're going to go ahead and plant it in these containers right here. These are little whiskey barrel type containers. It should be enough to tell me whether or not this is a good soil mix. It's a little bit less traditional than most people are going to do. But I've had issues in the past on growing strawberries in my area. So, and what we run into is it's the heat and my lack of watering skills. I underwater. So the major goal this year is there's drip everywhere to help with this. And we're putting strawberries in midday to afternoon shade this time for experimenting. So let's go ahead and get started through our ingredients. I've got a shovel over here for mixing. I've got my wheelbarrow here. And over here, I've got my 3 components that we're going to work with. So we're going to start off with an ingredient that everybody knows and is aware of. And this is perlite. So we want to try to keep the pots a little bit light. So this is essentially a 5-gallon grow bag full of perlite, and we're going to be mixing basically a 30%, or 33%, 33%, 33%. So a third of this mix. And we're going to set that pot aside. Our next ingredient that everybody knows and loves, depending on your area in the world, this is peat moss. This will help with getting some acidity and a little bit of water retention for our strawberries. So in some areas in the world, I know this isn't the best thing to get. But, you know, you do you. Now we add our heavy lifter. And this is an ingredient you didn't see coming. Gotta pick my shovel up before I kill myself. This third component is 1/3 of decomposed granite. Now strawberries are a semi-permanent type item. So that's why we're using this very permanent component in the soil. So we're going to get this into the wheelbarrow. And now we got all 3 of our ingredients in there. Now, the reason why we're doing the perlite is so that this soil isn't as heavy as it's going to be with the decomposed granite that we have here. So the perlite's in there, helps lighten it up a little bit. So what we want to do is we want to take a shovel, or whatever you got, and we just got to start mixing. Nothing glamorous about this, everybody. You can, if you want to, put a couple handfuls of compost in here. I recommend doing your compost dressing on the top. And then when you mulch over it, it will let the compost decompose on the top and water the nutrients right on down to the soil. And, you know, the decomposed granite's heavier, so you take your time and mix. Now, once I get these planted, I will put them into our shade house, probably for a few days, when I get through the transplant shock. And I will water them with a water-soluble fertilizer. And that'll help settle these in. Keep mixing. Let's go ahead here and see how we're doing. Now, strawberries love well-draining soil. During hot parts of the summer, we will probably have to water these twice a day. Yeah, this looks really well mixed here. Yeah, we're done with our shovel. Seems to be falling for me. We're going to start off with a few of our containers here. And let's go ahead and let's fill them about halfway here. We'll shuffle the dirt around. Okay, we've got some pots ready. I've got my trusty trimming clippers. Like I said, these are Quinaults. So let's go ahead and these are a 6-pack. These are a nice bigger container, as you see here. And they got this nice little depression dome here. Now we may have some for over a month. And we're well watered. I have been having them soaking, getting ready for a transplant. The roots here look pretty good. I'm teasing the roots out a little bit. And you can see they're in a peat moss based thing here. And the roots are white, but they could look better. And I'm doing my typical thing here that I do. And I'm pulling off the top part here the peat moss from around the plant. Now I'm looking at the plant here and I think they buried it a bit too deep. So in order to protect the crown here, I'm actually going to keep pulling off from around the top here so it doesn't rot. And there's a couple dead leaves here. We're going to get those pulled off. That leaf is not doing so good. And what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get up in here, see where the roots start, see where the crown is. This is my worst area that I do with strawberries, is I always kind of have to hope I get the crowns right. So I try to pay very close attention. And these should have grown quite a bit, but I haven't fertilized them, and it looks like the crowns were down a bit much there. So I've got this one nice and cleaned up. Some of my soil will fill up back around the crown here. And we're going to take this one here maybe that I've got filled up the most. And I'm going to pull the soil back. And I'm going to set that kind of down in there. I'm going to pull up on it a little bit because I want it to come up higher in the pot. And I'm just going to steal our mix here from the other pot. Now we just want to leave about an inch or so we can put our mulch on top here. And that's what I've got here. Now, because this soil only has 30% peat moss in it and a little bit of some compost, this will not settle very much. And that's one of the things that I'm looking for when you have a more permanent type planting. So we got this next bucket here. Yeah, we're just going to kind of rinse and repeat this here. I'm going to get some more soil to use here. There we go. Look at that. Let's see our next victim here. We go pop. Now, if I were doing these strawberries bare root, that would be even better. But these were an impulse pot. And I see some other flowers around here. We want to get those off there too. Okay, now we're down to just kind of right where the roots are going on the crown. We got it above the soil mark. Checking it in my pot. We're going to go just a tad bit deeper. And we'll go ahead now and let's get this filled. Now where these are going to end up ultimately is out in my front yard on the drip out there. Right next to the path for our front door, because that spot for most of the day stays shaded. It'll get nice morning sun and it'll get late afternoon sun. It won't be cooked in the middle of the day by the sun. Now, these containers are on the smaller side that I want, but they will tell me the answers that I want to know. One, can I keep up my watering? And two, can I keep strawberries alive? Yeah, let's get our next victim. So we're going to tease the roots out the bottom here. We want the strawberry to get these down into the bottom of the pot. We'll tease some of those out. Break a couple of these leaves off that we don't want. Top. And look at that, I've exposed some nice white roots. Getting its new home here. And we'll start filling around the outside. The positive side, the soil is pretty easy to work with. Despite my neglect and leaving them in those pots for too long, they're holding in there. And I'm going to start moving these over to my trusty old wagon here. I figured instead of buying 25 bare root strawberries, I would just buy 6 starts to do my experiment. Now let's go ahead and get a couple more of these set up here. I want to move things like my trees and blueberries to a more permanent mix like this. And you'll see that when we do our citrus maintenance, that I've got a lot of soil settling that I need to get resolved here in the future. But we got our next pot ready. Soil's a little lower in this one, so I'll just kind of pull some dirt out of the way to the sides. Let's get that next victim up here. These have been kicking back in my shade house. Strawberries really love to have a lot of air around their roots. So yeah, so instead of having to go to the wheelbarrow, I just kind of use soil from the other pots. And guy is ready to go here. As much as I like our shovel hanging out, we're going to walk him off to the side here. Yeah, let's get another scoop out here. And let's retrieve our next victim. I was concerned I was really killing these things off by taking so long. And even if after we get it all pulled off, we're just left with one little lonely leaf, there's some nice new ones coming there at the top, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Now, because I took so long to plant these, I could have caused this issue with the crown sinking in deeper. Or I was just neglectful and didn't look at the crowns when I bought them to make sure that they weren't too deep. Either way, we've got this one cleaned up. There's nice new leaves coming here on the top, so I'm not. You might be wondering, God, you're killing that thing. I want to get away anything that can cause the rotting to really set in. And these are pretty soggy. I had them soaking in water to prepare for the transplant to hopefully make this a little less stressful on them. And this looks like this is our berry plant that's having the worst of it here. And we'll move that berry plant right there. And we look like we're ready for our last victim. You know, if you want to see more of this content, visit that subscribe button. Hit that like button, help me out there, even if you don't want to subscribe. If you want to support me, the best I have right now is some links to my Etsy shop and some Amazon affiliate links down in the description. Buy whatever you want off Amazon, just click through one of my links first, and that will help me out. And I'm going to spare you the watering routine. And, if I've done my job, you should be getting something on your screen right shortly telling you the next best video from me that you should watch. And we're just going to poke our tag in the side there. I need just a little extra right here. And just like any other planting, this will be just watering it in. And it's on my wagon, ready to make its trip. And that's another wrap. I want to thank you for joining us. Like I said, visit the description. Visit my Etsy shop, where we're slowly adding more and more gardening and other types of items in it. So, thank you for watching. See you all later now.